Matteo Morty leaned against the grand staircase of the mansion, hands tightening on the railing. The city outside glowed like a battlefield. He could hear the chaos in the streets, the whispers in the halls, the invisible war clawing at his family. He was the Don's son, the heir, expected to inherit power, control, loyalty. But he had no illusions. The empire was cracking, and every ally was a potential traitor. His sister, Bianca, had gone rogue with Luca Romano, a rival enforcer. His mother, Isabella, was playing a dangerous game of her own, twisting hearts and secrets like knives, and now V, the cleaner, was moving unseen, a ghost of death lurking around every corner. Matteo's mind spun. He had trained for leadership, for strategy, for violence, but nothing prepared him for the emotional chaos of family betrayal. Every decision carried the weight of blood and empire. Every move could ignite war. He walked through the mansion halls, observing everything, the locked doors, the security cameras, the tension hanging like fog. Loyalty was a fragile illusion here. He knew he had to act, but how? Then he received the message, anonymous, cryptic, simple. The war starts tonight. Choose your side. Matteo clenched his fists. His father's enemies were closing in. His sister's obsession was threatening to destroy everything. And the cleaner, he didn't know her yet, but he would soon. He moved quickly, gathering his trusted lieutenants. Plans were drawn, alliances tested, and his mind raced through every possible betrayal. He knew one thing: power alone wouldn't protect him. He had to balance loyalty, love, and strategy, or the empire would fall. Later, in the shadowed courtyard, he watched Bianca's car disappear into the night. Knowing she was entangled with Luca, rage and desire fought within him. He hated her for her rebellion, yet he couldn't deny the pull of family blood, and somewhere deep he felt the spark of forbidden envy. Wishing for the freedom she had embraced, the night erupted into violence, messages intercepted, ambushes narrowly avoided, shadows of enemies and allies blurring together. Matteo fought like a whirlwind, every decision razor sharp, every move a gamble. By dawn the first cracks of the empire were visible. Bodies and secrets littered the streets. Luca's obsession with Bianca had drawn them all into a storm. V's interventions had shifted the battlefield. Isabella's manipulations had poisoned alliances, and Matteo, he stood in the eye of it all, the heir, the reluctant soldier, the son carrying the weight of betrayal and blood. He realized the truth. Survival wasn't about power. It was about understanding the tangled web of lust, obsession, and psychological warfare that now defined the Morty family, and Matteo had no choice but to step into the fire. Story 6, The Mistress. The club lights flickered like fireflies trapped in smoke. Valentina Cruz leaned against the bar, hips swaying to the bass that rattled the floor. She wasn't just a singer. She was a siren, a weapon wrapped in silk and lipstick. Drawing men into her orbit like moths to a flame, her eyes scanned the room. Patrons, gangsters, politicians, all feeding off her energy. But tonight she wasn't just performing. She had eyes on Luca Romano. Dangerous, unpredictable, magnetic. He was in the VIP booth, still nursing bruises from the recent warehouse fight. She could see the tension in his jaw, the way his gaze scanned every shadow. Lust radiated from him like heat, and Val felt it pull her in. She sang, voice low and smoky, words dripping with desire. Every note was a promise, every glance a challenge. When Luca's eyes finally found hers, the room blurred. It was more than attraction. It was obsession, mirrored across the distance. But she wasn't just after him. Matteo Morty had noticed her before. Lingering near the edges, intrigued by her power and control, and Isabella, the Don's wife, Val knew she was being watched, evaluated, tested. Every interaction was a chess move. After the set, Luca approached. His presence was overwhelming, dangerous, intoxicating. "You shouldn't be here," he muttered, voice low. And yet Val replied, brushing a finger across his arm, "Here I am. Who's stopping me?" Their chemistry was immediate, physical, charged with a tension that could explode at any second. But she had other cards to play. Matteo leaned against the stairwell, watching. Desire, control, envy, he felt it all. Yet Val remained untouchable, untamed. Meanwhile, V the cleaner lingered in the shadows, hired to monitor the room, ensuring nothing escalated beyond control. But even V felt the pull, the psychological grip of the chaos swirling around the nightclub. By the night's end, secrets had been traded, whispers exchanged, and alliances tested. Luca's obsession with Bianca collided with his attraction to Val. Isabella's manipulations crept into every glance, and Matteo's ambition simmered beneath the surface. Val left the club alone, but the web had already begun to ensnare her. She knew desire could be a weapon, and tonight she wielded it with precision. But the storm was coming, and everyone, from lovers to killers, would be caught in the whirlwind she had started. Story 7. Blood brothers Gabriel, Gabe Rixai, and Enzo Marconi stood atop the Morty family's hidden warehouse, rain streaking their sharp suits. Brotherhood ran deep between them, forged in fire, blood, and the unspoken code of loyalty. But loyalty, like blood, could be spilled, and both men were teetering on the edge. Gabe's jaw tightened as he watched the city below. "It's all unraveling," he muttered, voice low. "The Dawn's empire, it's fragile." Enzo's grin was cold. "Fragile? Nah, it's just been cracked open, and we got the tools to finish it. The plan was simple in theory. Remove obstacles, take control, and rise above." But the obstacles weren't just enemies. They were lovers, obsessions, and temptations. Bianca's affair with Luca, Matteo's ambitions, Isabella's manipulations, Val's seduction, all of it made the chessboard unpredictable. And then there was the temptation within their own ranks. Gabe had noticed Enzo lingering too long with Val, eyes lingering on her curves, the heat in her gaze. Desire could cloud judgment. And Enzo had noticed Gabe's fixation on V, the cleaner, dangerous, untouchable, magnetic. "Blood brothers," Gabe said, clinking his glass against Enzo's. "But sometimes blood runs in different directions." The first move was swift. They orchestrated an ambush on Luca, forcing him into the open. Guns flashed, chaos erupted, and V had to intervene to keep her unpredictable target alive. Bianca, torn between obsession and survival, fought beside him, while Val wove through the fray, manipulating who survived. By the end, alliances shifted. Enzo and Gabe realized that lust, obsession, and psychological manipulation weren't just weapons. They were threats to their own survival, and in the middle of it all, Matteo and Isabella were already plotting the next counterstrike. The blood spilled tonight wasn't just from enemies. It was the currency of power, the price of desire, and the mark of a war where every touch, every glance, and every whisper could be fatal. And as the storm faded, the city waited, silent, dangerous, and hungry for the next move in a game that no one could fully control. Story 8. The psychologist Dr. Celeste Morrow adjusted her glasses, surveying the sprawling Morty estate from her sleek black Mercedes. Everyone believed she was a neutral presence, a licensed psychologist brought in to stabilize the family's fractured minds. In reality, she was a predator disguised in silk and intellect. Her specialty wasn't therapy, it was control. She could unravel loyalties, ignite obsessions, and twist desire into a weapon. And the Mortys, with their tangled web of passion and violence, were her perfect playground. She watched Bianca from afar, noting every glance she threw at Luca, every tremble of desire mixed with fear. The obsession was already there, thick, palpable, and ready to be exploited. She made a mental note to subtly push Luca toward riskier choices, letting passion dictate his decisions. Next, Isabella. Celeste knew the Don's wife was manipulating everyone, but she also knew Isabella's insecurities, her need for dominance, and the simmering rage behind her elegance. A whisper here, a suggestion there, and the psychological chessboard shifted. Even Matteo wasn't immune. The heir's ambition could be weaponized, his desire for control turning him into a pawn or a monster. And then there was Luca's deadly obsession with Bianca, Val's seductive power, and V's unpredictable interference. All threads Celeste could weave into chaos. During a private session with Matteo, Celeste leaned in, voice silky and deliberate. "You're holding the empire too tightly," she said. "Sometimes letting desire guide your choices reveals the truth." Matteo frowned, unsure whether she was advising him or manipulating him. That was exactly her point. Uncertainty was control. Later, in her office, she intercepted whispers about Gabe and Enzo's betrayal. A quiet smile spread across her face. Two ambitious men, blinded by lust and greed, playing into her hands without even knowing it. By the end of the night, secrets had multiplied, alliances were cracking, and the obsessive fire between Luca and Bianca had grown into a consuming blaze. Celeste sat back, sipping her wine, satisfied. She wasn't just a witness, she was the puppet master, guiding every desire, every betrayal, and every lethal choice in the shadows. And the storm was far from over. Story 9. The betrayal rain fell in sheets over the city, washing the streets with silver light. In a quiet, dimly lit safe-house, Angelo the Fox Vitael sat alone. The map of the Morty Empire spread across the table. Every name, every connection, every desire had been carefully logged, and now he was ready to betray them all. Angelo had been a loyal lieutenant until greed, lust, and obsession twisted his loyalty into poison. He knew Bianca's secret affair with Luca, Isabella's manipulations, V's deadly interference, Val's seductive influence, Matteo's ambition, Gabe and Enzo's rebellion, and even Dr. Celeste's manipulations. Every piece of the puzzle, every weakness, was now a weapon. He smiled, tracing a finger along the line connecting Bianca to Luca. Chaos, he thought. Obsession will destroy them before the bullets do. Angelo delivered the first strike by leaking information about Luca's location to rival crews. The city erupted in gunfire and screams. V intervened, but even she couldn't anticipate the web of deception Angelo had spun. Meanwhile, Isabella received anonymous messages detailing Bianca's meetings with Luca and the cleaner. Her rage, already simmering, ignited into a dangerous obsession of her own. Matteo, unaware of the full betrayal, scrambled to protect his empire, trusting the wrong allies and leaving openings that Angelo exploited expertly. Valentina, sensing the shift in the city's energy, manipulated her relationships further, stoking jealousy and desire to protect her own survival. Even Dr. Celeste felt the tremor of chaos. Her psychological manipulation had controlled so much, but Angelo had seen too much, and now she faced an unpredictable variable. The betrayal climaxed when Bianca and Luca were ambushed at a clandestine meeting. Shots rang out, screams echoing through the foggy streets, blood soaked the pavement, and trust shattered with every gunshot. Angelo watched from the shadows, satisfaction curling his lips. Every obsession, every desire, every twisted romance he had observed now fueled the chaos. He had become the spark that ignited the inferno, but even he knew that once the fire burned, no one could control it. By the night's end, the city's streets were littered with bodies, secrets, and shattered alliances, and every character, Bianca, Luca, Isabella, Matteo, V, Val, Gabe, Enzo, and Dr. Celeste, stood on the precipice of a war they couldn't escape,